Here is a 2024 BMW X2 M35i in Cape York Green Metallic. This is all new for this year, and it's not a true M, but it's going to have a lot of M performance, sharing the same engine as the X1 M35i. Will this be enough power to compete with the rivals? Some pros and cons, and the problem that I have with the X2 M35i. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. Starting in the front fascia, it's going to be more wide. It's also lower to the ground. LED headlights, daytime runnings is standard. That goes into the reworked kidney grille with the iconic glow that illuminates the grille. It's a little bit more boxy than before, and both the top and the bottom have active air shutter. Front parking sensors. The lower is also going to be a little bit more athletic because this is an M Sport. So that's going to change the bumpers out, giving us larger air pockets for the side and breathers in the center to make it look a lot more aggressive. And we're gaining 71 horsepower over the xDrive 28i, but it's the same engine. So it's a 2.0 liter BMW M twin power turbo 4-cylinder, which is a twin scroll turbocharged, producing 312 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque paired to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, achieving 23 mpgs for the city, 32 mpgs for the highway, reaching 60 BMW quotes at 5.2 seconds with the top speed at 155 miles per hour. Now, going against competition like Mercedes, it's going to be about 0.2 seconds quicker, and it's going to have 10 horsepower more. The same torque that's going to be derived out of both of the vehicles. And when you're thinking about the X28i, that's going to have the same torque as this as well. 19-inch, this is unique to the M35i. It's a 245/40 on all four corners. And the blue brake calipers, that's housing 4 pistons in the front because it's an M Sport brake with a quicker steering ratio. It's going to be a little bit more of a firm suspension and rear bias torque vectoring with a front wheel drive platform. The side has the rockers that flare out. M-spec side view mirrors, gloss black around all the windows with the new shark fin antenna. The coupe style looks a lot more performance than the prior gen. And if you're wanting the more box, you go to the X1 M35i and you'll receive the same power, but a little bit more cargo and headroom. The problem that I have is it's sharing the same platform with the Mini, and the Cooper is actually going to be a little bit faster than this, and yet you're going to spend more money. This can top up to or around $60,000 if you feature it up. The rear trunk lid spoiler that integrates into the standard LED taillights, and the lower bumper gets the aggressive diffuser with quad exhaust tips, reverse sensors, and a reverse camera. Audi doesn't even make something that can perform on this platform. You'd have to go up to the SQ5, and that's a lot bigger vehicle. But when you're starting to think apples to apples in the price, it's going to start around 60 grand. You get this fully loaded at 60 grand, and it's going to be about 0.5 seconds faster on the Audi, but then this is going to be dynamically better in the weight distribution. Kick to open or power liftgate going into 25.3 cubic feet. Because of the coupe design, it does sit up. We have a storage compartment on the side, bag holders on both sides with a 12-volt and a storage bin. Underneath the floor gets more storage. Take the privacy cover down, but to increase the cargo, you do have to go into the back seat. This is going to max cargo at 51.7 cubic feet by pulling these levers at a 40-20-40 split. Probably should have pulled the middle one first. And it's going to have a wide opening similar to a hatchback, but this is the M35i. We need to go inside, start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. Eight-way power seat adjustment for the front. Heated seats, these are sport bolstered. manual cushion extensions, memory for the driver. Headroom and leg room. The X2 is going to be shared with the X1. You're gonna have the Sensitech dashboard, and I like the pattern that they give here. Instead of doing a carbon fiber, it looks really sporty. You're gonna get the brushed aluminum underneath, the 10.7 infotainment screen with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. You can option a 360-degree reverse camera. We just have the standard reverse camera that has the trajectory for the front and the rear. You will have the larger view here, or you could just do the park view here so you can see your front and rear parking sensors. Harman Kardon sound system, and the one-panel screen integrates into a 10.3 digital gauge reader that can go through an array of different content for the driver, including turn-by-turn navigation, and you can change the layout for the display to make it look a little bit more aggressive. And whenever you change the driving modes, it will also do the same thing. Dual climate control settings is standard, and I like the sports style because it keeps a driver-focused setup, but yet giving room for the passenger. Wireless charging pad that you just lock in this way, and the key fob for the new X2 M35i. 2 USB ports and a 12-volt full pass-through. And on top, you're going to have the push for your driving mode select, the rocker to put it into gear. Open this up, and you have a little area you could put a remote control. Leather-wrapped steering wheel, multi-function with the 12 o'clock M badging, and we get the paddle shifts with the boost. Door panels and the dash integrate in together, and this is a real aluminum mesh instead of plastic that are found in other vehicles. Ambient lighting that's going to surround. It's going to be more sporty, one touch up and down for all the windows with a long storage pocket. Auto dimming rear view mirror, and you can option a pano moonroof. For the back seats, this is the way that it would set up. You can recline them back, which is what I would recommend, and now your headroom is not necessarily a problem for somebody that's 6'3". Leg space, it's going to be a little bit more tight. Storage behind both of the front seats with a grab net. 2 USB ports, air vents, cup holders with armrests, and the door is going to have the same materials that's found in the front. Sporty with a large storage pocket and about 2 beverage holders carved out. Sliding into the center, the floor isn't completely flat, and the floor isn't completely flat. You will be sharing some feet, leg. Your knees are going to be hitting the front seats, butt and shoulder space. It's not that wide or long of a vehicle, but headroom is actually not too bad for somebody my dimensions. We got boost and gauge. The countdown begins to get that 5.20 to 60. Now it's not as close as a 50-50 weight distribution as normal. But it hugs the road a little bit better than the X1. And now we're going to see that 0 to 60. This is going to be without boost. It's a little bit more of a settled drive, but you're probably going to be close to the 5.40 to 60 either way, with or without the boost. Braking is good. Give her a little go here on the exit. It does start to slide a little bit. It's not going to be as airtight as a X2 M40i, but it's still quite good. The dual clutch automatic transmission is seamless. I like the shift patterns that come into play. And even though you're expecting a firm ride, it's actually pretty smooth. The seats are comfortable. Visibility is good. You sit up with decent clearance. And taking these roads, I like twisty roads, especially when you're in a BMW. Anything with a M Sport or a true M, you're gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is you are getting a lot more horsepower than the standard. 71 horsepower is night and day difference than the xDrive 28i. But then the pricing is going to jump a little bit more so, and you're also going to pay around $1,500 to $2,000 more in this example than the X1, which a con to me for that is in the back seat. They don't really carve out anything for the headroom, so it is a true coupe design, meaning you're going to lose some headroom. Cargo capacity isn't bad. You can actually tow with this vehicle. I really wouldn't. Especially to cut that diffuser would be kind of silly because of how athletic it looks on the rear. The steering is going to be a little bit more firm in this than the standard. But even going over imperfections in the road, it's pretty sound. But the road noise does filter in, and that's going to be a con for me. Some other pros is the driver focus setup. It makes you feel engaged a lot more so pretty much every time you drive this vehicle. And when you're thinking you can get this for around 50 grand, it's not too bad because the comparison against Mercedes and Audi, in which Audi doesn't even make something that's comparable to this with performance. You'd have to go up to a larger vehicle. Now we're just going to drive it in normal mode so you can see the difference. You're not going to hear any of the exhaust. Now you're starting to hear a lot more of the outside coming inside. The gears shift a little bit more frequently, and you're now going to be getting optimal MPGs. Another con to me is the front wheel drive platform that's shared with the Mini, because when you're thinking about BMW, you don't typically have this in their lineup. Some other pros is you're getting a standard wireless charger, but then on the con, you're not getting standard heated seats. Now, when I'm going from a Mini to a BMW, I'm expecting to at least get that amenity. Plus, these are vegan seats in the interior. We don't get any carbon fiber. Everything you will have to pay for a premium. No 360-degree reverse camera because you have to option it, which I'm all right with some of the features, but going from the base X2 to a M35i, some of them I would like them to trickle in because it's not just 71 horsepower and the suspension setup and lowering the ride and tightening the steering gear ratio, but it's also giving amenities in the interior when you're thinking about the inflated price. But what I like about the BMW opposed to Mercedes and Audi, it feels a little bit more open, and yet it keeps a sport feel. Typically, when vehicles change the interior where it's a little bit more open, it feels kind of like a van for an SUV. You don't have that feel here. Because it's not that long, you can maneuver in and out of lanes without any issues, and you have plenty of power to support it with 312 horsepower. 295 pound-feet of torque, so it's the same as the standard X2 and X1. But then when you're thinking about rival perspective like Mercedes, it's also the same torque there also. But the shortfall for me is going to be in the interior. They just lack some of the amenities that should come standard, and I understand they have packages and they do that with all of their trims, but some features do come standard in other BMW trims. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2024 BMW X2 M35i for our car review.